I've worked for Jive Records for many years, the great, amazing, legendary indie label. I worked at Island Def Jam, which was the combining of Island Records and Def Jam into an amazing company in the late 90s into the early 2000s. I worked at Warner Brothers twice. First time as a music lawyer in the 80s, and then the second time in my current role doing A&R, for starting in 2011. And I am now working at 300 Entertainment, the largest independent label in the States, which was founded by some guys who, I worked with in the Island Def Jam days. And there I have my own label, Bambino Records, and those are the main companies that I've worked with throughout my career. Mystical and E40 and Tribe Called Quest, and worked on the soundtrack for Menace to Society and A&R Too Short and KRS-One, and had an amazing time. But then the Backstreet Boys came along, and then Britney, and opened up a whole new chapter for me. And then, over the years, a number of other pop acts. Most recently, Dua Lipa, think you might have heard of, and BB Rexa. Andra Day was just nominated for an Oscar, and has one of the most synced songs in music history in Rise Up. At Island Def Jam, I signed a bunch of rock bands, so I've done that as well. The Killers, Fall Out Boy, Sum 41. When I was at Jive, I signed a great band called Cage the Elephant. And I've also made records with Cher, Bon Jovi, Lionel Richie, Melissa Etheridge, Willie Nelson, and worked with a bunch of other people on, specific projects. I did a Luther Vandross tribute album where I worked with Beyonce and Stevie Wonder and Elton John, and kind of a who's who. So I've had the luckiest career, I think, of almost anybody in terms of the number of artists that I've either discovered and developed, or at least been in the studio with. It's been an amazing ride. Avenue AR is a great way to actually get to people that matter, and also you get to them in a pure way, in the sense that, we're listening to the music. We're not necessarily, we're not starting with everything else that's going on. And as I said earlier, I still think that at the end of the day, it's about the music. And so I think for people who want to have that chance, by the way, they have to make it really succinct and concise and hit somebody quickly in 30 seconds or whatever. But that's part of what you need to do to be successful. What it does is it allows me to hear a number of things, a fairly large number of things that I wouldn't have gotten to hear otherwise, that I wouldn't be exposed to, by very motivated people, obviously, because they sought out and joined the Avenue AR program. But for the end user, it's invaluable. I mean, feedback is invaluable, and part of the problem in the past was a lot of times, even if you figured out who to get your stuff to, you just didn't get an answer. That's probably more common than getting a pass, you know what I mean? Is you just never hear back from anybody. Through this, you're guaranteed a listen, you're guaranteed a response, you know what I mean? And obviously, for it to go further, the response has to be a positive one. But at least you're getting feedback to kind of know where you are in the process of things. And frankly, maybe if you're not getting the feedback that you were hoping for, it tells you that there's more work to be done. No, I mean, from everything I know so far, and I know it's still an ongoing process, but it's about the real deal, Holyfield. And I know that you, Jay, and Hudson, and you guys know the difference, you know what I mean? And you've been doing this long enough. And I think the key thing is getting people who, have the experience to give valuable feedback. And that's what I'm seeing. You guys are, smart enough to pick me. I don't know, but I'm seeing across the board that you're trying to do this in a real way with real people who are going to give value in their judgments. When I first learned about it and spoke to the people involved, I was like, this is a very, very timely idea. Because the fact is that, as I said earlier, people want to discover great new music. You know what I mean? Whether it's, it's executives at labels, it's people at the DSPs, it's, even radio, what's left of it, People want to find great new music. And there are so many people making music, and I find there are a lot of people making good music, a lot right now. Great music is that's a harder, category to get in. But a lot of people making good music who could really benefit from some kind of feedback, and who could, who are worthy of a listen and worthy of seeing whether they can go to that next level. And so I think Avenue AR is, like I said, timely, valuable for both the end user and for people like myself, and it's just a great value proposition all around. I look every day. There's not a day, and that includes weekends, holidays, you name it. And it's kind of daunting, actually, you know what I mean? Because there's a zillion playlists, you know what I mean, on DSPs that I might find somebody interesting, you know what I mean? There's lots of things to check out now, you know what I mean? You don't have to sit anymore. Back in the day, I had to wait for somebody to send me a cassette or CD, whatever it happened to be. A lawyer, a manager, or an agent had to tell me that so-and-so is selling tickets, in this market. But nowadays, there's so much out there. So for the people who think that we are behind closed doors, like not actively looking for music, couldn't be farther from the truth. Yes, to be honest.